It's all about truth. All of it. Every single thing. All boils down to the truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free. All right, welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. This is Press for Truth Live. I'm your host, Dan Dix. Today we're going to be talking about the breaking news, the sweeping gun ban coming at the hands of the Trudeau government. Today they have announced that they are going to be banning upwards of 1,500 different models of guns, which they determined to be assault-style weapons. So we're going to be talking about that today, guys. Bear with me as I share this link right now on Facebook and Twitter, and I'd ask that you do the same. Let people know that we are indeed live. In fact, let me check the room to see. Okay, we do have 13 people watching right now. All right. Hi, Julian. Hi, Bebop. Hi, Danny. Tribulation Now. Organic Mechanic. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Please click that thumbs up button. Share this video. Today, we're going to be taking a look at, let me just pull it up here. Some of this is what we're finding in the news today. Trudeau announces a ban on 1,500 types of assault-style firearms effective immediately. We're going to take a look at this Zero Hedge article as well. No place for such weapons in Canada. Trudeau announces ban on assault-style rifles. Of course, just following the Nova Scotia mass shooting, I put out this video. Mass shooting leads to new strict gun control laws, what you need to know. And here we are, folks. We have entered into the era of the gun ban. It's official as of right now. Millions of legally licensed firearm owners in Canada are now going to be turned into criminals if they don't turn in their weapons over this period of 2 years. As Tracy Wilson said here on Twitter, and just like that, Justin Trudeau and Bill Blair decimate an industry that contributed $8 billion to the GDP, employs 40,000 Canadians, 4,500 small businesses, and shoulders the blame for mass shootings on 2.2 million Canadians, confiscating legal property. We've got 2 years to end this, and that's what it comes down to. We're literally talking about the confiscation of private property. They are saying there's going to be a 2-year grace period, I guess, where you can try to sell your guns to the government. But really, let's call it what it is. This is the confiscation period. This is the amount of time it's going to take them to disarm the Canadian people, and they've allotted themselves 2 years to do so. We see here from Zero Hedge, after one of the worst mass shootings in recent Canadian history, in April, leaving 22 people dead, Justin Trudeau has made a shock announcement on Friday afternoon that his government has banned assault-styled weapons, reports The Guardian. These weapons were designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to kill the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time. There is no use and no place for such weapons in Canada, Trudeau said, effective immediately. It is no longer permitted to buy, sell, transport, import, or use military-grade assault weapons in this country. The mass shooting in Nova Scotia last week has been deemed the worst shooting in the country's history and has given Trudeau the cover to strengthen gun control. This was one of his major campaign promises, and he has seized on the opportunity in a crisis. The new ban is expected to prevent shootings like the one in Nova Scotia. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police believe the gunman did not have a license to purchase the weapons used in the shootings and were likely obtained illegally. Well, that's an important point to note, that he wasn't a legal firearms owner. He obtained it illegally, which goes to show you, should there have been a law in place, it wouldn't have mattered. He still would have being able to obtain a gun. In fact, this sweeping gun ban is not going to make it difficult for any criminals to get their hands on a gun. It's just going to make it a lot more difficult for law-abiding citizens to be able to protect themselves. You know, it's the non-licensed gun owner who's the bigger threat to society. Statistically, 2/3 of regular people out there are more likely to commit a homicide than a licensed gun owner. So as I said in my video the other day, you walk around in the street and you pick out a random person on the sidewalk, statistically, they are more likely to commit a homicide, not owning a firearm, than a licensed gun owner here in Canada. And we're already the most vetted gun owners in pretty much the world. It's very, very difficult, the process that you have to go through in Canada to get a gun. Serious background checks. They are going to contact your spouse, and I even think your exes have to be contacted if you were, you know, divorced and remarried, and you completely waive your liberties and your rights. The police can enter your home at any time to check up on your guns without a warrant. You waive that right when you obtain a firearm in Canada. Well, now things are going to be getting a lot more difficult for these law-abiding Canadians, and a lot of them has just been, at the flip of a switch, turned into criminals. I mean, they have 2 years to get rid of their guns. I know a lot of them are not going to want to do so. A lot of them are family heirlooms. A lot of them are collectibles, things like that. I mean, I remember the story of a Korean war vet, Canadian, highly decorated war vet. He's in his 80s. He had a firearm in his closet that was legal, but then it became a prohibited weapon. And this man's nurse, who was taking care of him in his home, found the gun in the closet, called the police. She got all freaked out by it, called the cops. And just like that, this decorated war veteran, this Canadian citizen, this 83-year-old man, had to stand before a judge and was staring down the barrel of a 3-year prison sentence because he was now an owner of a prohibited weapon, and one that was able to be fired because he had bullets in the chamber. That's wrong. That shouldn't happen in this country. And that's going to continue to happen now that Trudeau has banned so-called assault-styled firearms. The AR-15 is one of those firearms on the list, and I gotta tell you, I love the AR-15. That is a fantastic piece of machinery. If you've never shot one, you won't really understand just how well designed and nice it is. And you have to pull the trigger each time on an AR-15. It's not like they try to make it sound that you can just spray tons of bullets with these things. That's not the case. In fact, the Mini Ruger 14, I believe it's called, is also on the banned list. Just wait till you see what that one looks like. But let's get back to this this Zero Hedge article for a sec. Where it says Trudeau said there would be a 2-year amnesty period to allow current gun owners to comply with the law. The ban covers more than 1,500 models. In 2015, Trudeau promised that a Liberal government would restrict gun owners from certain types of rifles, including, quote, military-styled assault weapons. What does that even mean? As long as the Canadians are losing their loved ones to gun violence, not enough has changed, Trudeau said in September. We know you do not need military-grade assault weapon, one designed to kill the largest amount of people in the shortest amount of time, to take down a deer. He keeps using this analogy that this is not necessary to kill a deer. Well, maybe it's necessary to protect oneself against a tyrannical government run amok. I mean, it's crazy that this is happening in the midst of a pandemic. They are using a crisis, the Nova Scotia shooting, to push through, just force these upon the Canadian people. Again, 2.2 million Canadians have been potentially turned into criminals overnight because the Trudeau government had an agenda. They've had the same agenda for quite some time right now, and that agenda was to disarm the Canadian people. We've seen other countries do this in the past, and we've seen what that led to. So this is not looking good. Let's continue. Currently, Canada's Firearms Act does not make a clear distinction between military-style weapons and long guns. The new law is going to clear that up. According to a poll from the Angus Reid Institute, 80% of Canadians support the ban. I highly doubt that. However, there will be an uproar in the gun community that will see this latest gun grab as entirely unacceptable. And keep in mind, the ban on assault-style weapons is coming during a virus pandemic. Is there a larger agenda at play here? And as we see from this CBC article, it says Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today announced a ban on some 1,500 makes and models of the military-grade assault-style weapons in Canada, effective immediately. Starting today, licensed gun owners will no longer be allowed to sell, transport, import, or use those sorts of weapons in this country. As of today, the market for assault weapons in Canada is closed. Public Safety Minister Bill Blair said, enough is enough. Banning these firearms will save Canadians' lives. You know what I think would have saved Canadians' lives in the case of the Nova Scotia shooting? If the majority of the Canadians who were on his path of terror were armed. If those people had guns, maybe they could have stopped him before waiting for who? The men with guns, police, who showed up 13 hours late to get the job done. So yeah, guess what? Guns were the answer. It's just they happened to be in the hands of those in uniform who failed miserably, tracking this guy for over 13 hours, leading to 22 deaths. Again, perhaps if the Canadian people themselves were armed, more people could have stepped up to the plate and stopped this threat before sitting idly there waiting for the nanny state to come protect you. This is why it's important to support gun rights in this country. You know, I've been covering this for quite a while now. If you go to my where is it? Let me pull it up. Well, I guess I closed that window, but let me just pull it up again. You can use the search feature on my channel, and if you just type in, let's see, gun, 18 videos show up. Let me show you here. So here we see I've been covering this for quite a while. We got the Nova Scotia shooting, breaking Trudeau plans, banning a sweeping gun ban. This is with Rod Giltaca, really good interview. We get into how doctors want to take away your guns. Myself and Lee Stewart here discuss the Bill C-71, updates in regards to that. All kinds of stuff. I went downtown once and interviewed people on the streets about gun rights, what they believe. In regards to that, we talk about the Las Vegas shooting and the whole cold hard truth on gun control. Here we see more guns means less crime. San Francisco shooting, the Oregon shooting, cops pointing guns at journalists, the future of gun control. This is a good one. Guns are not your enemy. The Canadian gun grab. This is a video from back in 2014. So as I said, I've been warning Canadians about this for quite some time, and it's mind-boggling that the Trudeau government would actually go for this in the midst of a pandemic, on the back, in the wake of a tragedy, the largest shooting in Canadians' history. And he even invoked the École Polytechnique shooting of 1989. He said he was just a 17-year-old boy at the time and couldn't understand what was going on in the world where something like that could happen. Again, had more people have been armed, maybe they could have stopped this madman, but they weren't able to. Let me go back to the chat here, make sure we're still good to go. Okay, we have 384 people tuned in right now. Hopefully we have 384 thumbs up right now. If you haven't clicked that thumbs up button, guys, please do. We need your help with sharing this information, spreading the news far and wide, letting people know that we are live, because we're heavily shadow banned here on YouTube, if you're not aware of that yet. We're also completely demonetized. I used to get super chats popping up in the comments here, but that's no longer a possibility. So if you do want to financially support the efforts of this channel, you can click the links in the description. Find out how you can contribute with PayPal or GoFundMe or various cryptocurrencies. The links are located below. Anything that you can contribute is greatly appreciated, especially in these crazy trying times. If you can't afford it, please don't. The best way to support is just click the thumbs up button and share the video. But if you are able to financially support us, we do need your help in that area. All right, we're going to skim through here quickly, see if we have any questions. SKEF says, I have your full video from the Vancouver protest last week. Downloaded 52 minutes. I saw your video where you tried to download it and was only 3 seconds. Do you need a copy? Yes, I do. Thank you very much. I've been trying very hard to get a copy of that 52-minute stream. Please email me at dan@pressfortruth.ca. That's dan@pressfortruth.ca. Email me there. Hopefully you can send me a Dropbox link or something like that to the video so I can re-upload it to my BitChute, the full version rather than a 3-second version, as they were pulling some funny tricks there in order to, stop that information from being seen. Yes, thank you so much for the comment. Please send that to me if you get the chance to do so. Organic Mechanics says an AR-15 is meant for protection. Yeah, exactly. And again, what are we protecting ourselves from? A whole lot of things, including tyrannical governments run amok. I mean, you all know about the Second Amendment in the United States and what that purpose was for, not for fending off, burglars or anything like that. It was about governments run amok, power tripping. It was about keeping them back. Ban assault on your rights style government, says Flyborn. Yep. Ban Trudeau, says Truth Teller. An AR-15 is not meant for deer. It is meant for tyrants, says Wilhelm. Yeah, agreed. Was the Danforth shooter licensed, says Zane. I'm not sure who you're referring to in terms of the Danforth shooter. The Danforth killings recently were done with a van. It was that incel who drove a van along the Danforth and killed a bunch of people. Not sure if that's what you're referring to. Okay, let's see if we got any other questions. Got a lot of comments. Thank you guys again. 376 people tuned in right now. Hopefully we got 376 thumbs up. Once again, click the thumbs up button, share the video, and leave a comment. Canadian Civil War, asked Dempsey Smith. Well, the next couple of years are going to be incredibly trying times. And yes, I think civil unrest is coming. I mean, we're still in the midst of a global economic shutdown. I mean, entire businesses are starting to fall apart here. Small and medium-sized businesses are not getting paid. I mean, a lot of people are currently laid off and the checks are not coming in. I mean, when do you think we're going to start to feel the trickle effects of that? Why do you think all the retail stores have been boarding up their windows lately? Everybody senses what's coming, and in the midst of that, they're going to disarm the Canadian people. They're going to take away their right to protect themselves while they let rapists and murderers out of prison as a way to deal with the spread of COVID-19. It doesn't make any sense unless what they're trying to engineer is total chaos so that they can offer the order out of the chaos. That's really what this is all about, guys. It's order out of chaos. That's why when they had a tragedy in Nova Scotia, before the bodies were even found, they were still smoldering in the ashes of burnt buildings. Trudeau had his agenda and plan moving full steam ahead. And it's sick and disgusting that they would use a tragedy like that to whisk something like this through that is clearly going to upset millions and millions of Canadians. I simply don't believe that poll that 80% of Canadians are accepting of this gun ban. I've walked around in the streets of Vancouver interviewing people on the streets. And the majority of them were for gun control, but it wasn't nearly 80-20. It was close to maybe like a 55-45 or a 60-40 kind of a split. So, again, wanted to bring that one to your attention. I wanted to circle back on this one because I like what she had to say here. If you're just tuning in, you may have missed it. Tracy Wilson says, and just like that, Justin Trudeau and Bill Blair decimate an industry that contributed $8 billion to the GDP, employs 40,000 Canadians, 4,500 small businesses, and shoulders the blame for mass shootings on 2.2 million Canadians, confiscating legal property. We have 2 years to end this regime. Now, an important point to add to that, in my opinion, is that voting in a new supreme leader is not the answer to ending the regime. Watch my video called The Democracy Deception. I put it out a while back now. It was part of my series, The May Deception, The Mulclair Deception, the Trudeau Deception, and then eventually I put out The Democracy Deception, where I explain how in this stage of the game, it's two wings of the same bird. It's two sides of the same coin. It's the illusion of choice. In fact, more restrictive gun measures are probably going to come in at the hands of the opposition. So voting our way through this problem is not the answer. We need to take matters into our own hands at this stage in the game. We need to stop funding the military-industrial complex with our taxes. We need to recognize that things like 3D printed guns and blueprints for black market 3D printed guns are on the internet. These things are available to people today. And as I said, a new law is not going to make it easy, difficult for a bad guy to obtain a firearm. The shooter in Nova Scotia wasn't a legally licensed firearm owner. He just obtained it illegally, as criminals will do. But now you just have less good people with guns and more bad people with guns. They're taking away the ability for the good guys in Canada who are armed to be able to stop a threat. That's what you don't see on the news all the time. You often just hear them talking about these mass killings and these mass shootings. What about all the other hundreds and hundreds of examples of times when guns saved lives? Guns stopped the shooter before he could have created all kinds of carnage. Guns are the answer. Most people just want it coming at the hands of the state from a guy in a uniform. Well, that's dangerous, guys. That's really dangerous moving forward. Just think about what a tyrannical government can do to a completely disarmed population. Scary to think what can happen. We've seen in the past what can happen. I hate to always bring up the example, but Hitler disarmed the German people. That gun control was a big part of what was able to happen there. Obviously, if all the Jewish people were armed, things would have gone very, very differently. So, again, today is the nail in the coffin for Canada, really. It's mark today as the beginning of the end. I find it kind of fitting that it's on May 1st, May Day, a commie day where these communists are usually marching in the streets, celebrating Karl Marx and protesting capitalism. Quite fitting that this communistic move by the Commie Canada government is happening on Commie Day, May 1st, May Day. I think it's quite appropriate because we are moving more slowly into socialized communism here in Canada. Look at the limits on items you can purchase at the grocery store right now in the face of a pandemic. They're even talking about limiting the amount of times you can go to the grocery store in a week. Once per week per household, and only one member of the family is allowed to go. This is marching into communistic territory. And now today, on the big commie holiday, Trudeau announces a sweeping gun ban. Again, pretty fitting. Going to go back to your questions here. See if we have any new comments or questions coming in. Let's see, 354 people watching. Hopefully you guys have hit the thumbs up button, shared this video. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Don't really see any other questions. Got a lot of comments. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for your support. Again, if you want to financially support my efforts to continue to bring you guys this information, please check the links in the description below. We have a PayPal, we have a GoFundMe, we have pressfortruth.ca/donate, where you can join as a member, you can join as a patron. We have Subscribestar, various cryptocurrencies, PayPal. Again, anything you can contribute is greatly appreciated. Let's see if we got any new questions. Why do you not protest? Says John Pittman. Well, I stopped myself personally being a protester probably around 10 years ago, maybe. Maybe a little more, 10 or 11 years ago. I don't go to events anymore as a protester. I go as a documentarian, as a reporter, as somebody who is a videographer, somebody who documents events. But I think if ever there was a time for protest and for people to get out in the streets and to raise their voices about what's currently happening, it's now. It's right now. I mean, this is absolutely insane what's just been swept through. 1,500 models of different variations of assault-styled weapons are just poof made illegal in the blink of an eye. It's absolutely insane. Protesting is a joke, says anti-Satan pro-life. It's, you know, it has its time and place. Honestly, it can be effective. I attended a protest just a couple of weeks ago that was only like a dozen people, but I had a viral tweet go viral, 3.2 million views. That raised the issue that the protesters had to the general consciousness of the masses, and it got the word out that this is happening. And now protests are popping up all over the place, and the one in Vancouver is really starting to gain traction. So things can happen. World Alternative Media, what's up, Josh? He says protesting is dumb. Don't ask for rights, demand them. Yeah, exactly. I want to stress to the protesters as well, who are demanding that the government end the lockdown, that how about we just end the lockdown? We don't ask them for anything. You know, we don't ask them to please end the lockdown. How about we just get back to work? You know, I mean, I would have to agree with Josh. We need to disassociate ourselves from the government in all ways possible. If you've taken the bait and getting the CERB money, they've roped you in, and you know, that's $2,000 a month of taxable income that you're going to have to be taxed on at the end of the year. A lot of people don't realize this. They just think it's free money. No. They're putting more and more people into debt. They're completely destroying businesses. We cannot ask them for anything. We have to take the power back in our own hands right now. Just like Josh said, protesting is dumb. Don't ask for your rights, demand them. I'd have to agree. And on top of that, chanting. Oh, I hate chanting. If I have to hear one more hey, hey, ho, ho chant, I don't know if I can handle that. But not dissing any of the protesters. Like I said, it's you know, it has its time and place. But I am more of the belief that we ought to just start doing things rather than asking the government for anything. All right, let's see if I got any other question. Jesse says the world has gone nuts. Yeah, that's for sure. Carlene says start a free man movement. There is quite the free man movement in Canada, and that is very important to look into as well. Organic Mechanic says we need more guns. I would agree. Country would be a heck of a lot safer if more people were licensed firearm owners. Let's see. Is this the end of the West? Says Mitchell. Tough to say. What time is it now? Asks Devin. It is, what time is it? 12:07 p.m. here in the Pacific. Somebody says when guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have the guns. Yes, very good point. That's exactly how it goes. Hit the like button, folks, says Josh. Yes, please do, guys. We've got 358 people tuned in. Hopefully we have just as many thumbs up. Ryan asks, have they released a list of the banned guns? Well, that's where things get a little bit dodgy. You see, they have not yet defined what assault style really is. So they have a list, and they are going to be drafting up a new law in order to figure out how to deal with the now illegal gun holders and figure out how to confiscate those guns from those people. So yeah, that's what's going on. What was the question? Oh yeah, have they released a list? So there isn't an official list. They have named a number of them, like the AR-15, the Ruger Mini 14. There's a number of them, but 1,500 of them are going to be listed, and they still have to draft up new legislation to define what they meant by military assault style weapons. So a list will be created soon, and you may find yourself on that list. A lot of viewers of Press for Truth are probably going to end up realizing that, oh man, this thing that I've had forever, which I love, is illegal. I have to give it back to the government, or they're going to buy it from me, or I'm going to be a criminal in 2 years if I don't. It's just absolute insanity. If you're just tuning in, I told earlier the story of the war veteran, the Korean War veteran in Ontario, who was a highly decorated war vet, and he was a firearms owner, and his weapon, after he became an old man, became prohibited. Unbeknownst to him, he didn't know that. Well, his nurse, who was working at the home for him, found the gun in his closet and freaked out, called the cops. Now, an 83-year-old war veteran had to stand in front of a judge and face down the barrel of a 3-year prison sentence, all because he was now in possession of a prohibited weapon, unbeknownst to him. That is just wrong. That is something that should not happen. And now millions of Canadians are potentially facing the same fate if they don't hand over their guns in this amnesty period, they keep calling it. They want to make it sound good, right? Like, you're going to get some money. We're going to, disarm you, but don't worry, you're going to get some money. No, it's not an amnesty period. It's a confiscation period. That's how long it's going to take them to actually get into your homes and take your guns from you. So they've announced it today. It's official. The guns are banned. They're coming for them. And you got 2 years to comply. After that, who knows where this country is heading, guys. Okay. We may call it at that, guys. Been going for a little over half an hour. We don't have any new people tuning in. It's been sitting at around 370 people for the last little while now. I mean, we know this channel is heavily shadow banned. I've got over 260,000 subscribers, and yet we only ever get a couple hundred people tuning into the live stream. Those numbers obviously do not add up. So again, share this stream. Click the thumbs up button, get the word out that Trudeau just announced this new law. I warned about it a few videos back in the wake of the Nova Scotia shooting. I said, they're coming for your guns. This is what you're going to need to know. Put out a video explaining it. Please watch that one, guys, if you haven't. Wayne says 442 people watching. That's weird. For me, it says 376. Maybe it's just not updating on my end. But that's good to know. So that means there should be 448 thumbs up, right? Click the button, guys. Get those thumbs up going. If we do have more people continuing to tune in, maybe I'll keep it going here. Mine says we still have 379 watching right now. 438, 439, 436. All right. Take away the RCMP's guns. They are the real criminals, murdering Aboriginal people in cold blood, says Fox Mulder. Yeah, exactly. See, the criminals are the ones who are going to end up with all the guns. By that, I mean men in uniforms and violent, dangerous people who are going to be able to obtain a firearm anyways. So now we just have law-abiding, good guys in Canada who are no longer able to help protect themselves or their fellow neighbor. Awesome, isn't it? I just tuned in, says Wake Up Canada. Great to have you here. If you are just tuning in, like you said you are, we are talking about the sweeping gun ban announcement that Trudeau announced today, earlier this morning in a press conference on the wake of the Nova Scotia shooting, and a number of other mass shootings were cited. He mentioned the École Polytechnique shooting in Montreal in 1989. Said he was just a 17-year-old boy, and it, rocked his world. And on the back of these tragedies, as I said earlier, while the bodies were still smoldering in the ashes of the Nova Scotia shooters' wake of destruction, they were already whisking this stuff through. It was already happening. In fact, they were trying to whisk this through, and then COVID-19 put a little bit of a damper on things and slowed Parliament down a little. Trudeau claims that that's the only reason why it hasn't been passed yet. Well, now, in the wake of the shooting, they're able to just whisk it through, and what are you going to do about it? That's where we're at. That's how the Canadian government is treating the Canadian people. We're just making this decision. We're doing it. Millions of gun owners legally are now going to be illegal gun owners unless they turn them in over this confiscation period over the next 2 years. That's where we're at, guys. Let's get back to this CBC article for a moment and see what else it was saying. The ban will be enacted through regulations approved by an order in council from cabinet, not through legislation. Trudeau said the government was ready to enact this campaign promise months ago, before the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted the legislative agenda. The term assault style has no legal definition in Canada. The Firearms Act also does not currently classify firearms as military style. You see what they're doing? The term would have to be defined in new regulations. So they're changing the language here. Generally speaking, an assault-style weapon is a semi-automatic firearm with a large ammunition magazine built to fire quickly. Again, to reiterate, in the case of the AR-15, you have to pull the trigger every time. It's not like you can just hold down and spray a bunch of bullets. They're misleading you here. All Canadians must be in compliance with the law by April 2022, Justin Minister David Lametti said, adding that gun owners who have not disposed of their banned firearms by that point could face sanctions under the criminal code. Again, guys, they have just turned potentially millions of Canadians into criminals overnight, should they not give up their guns in the 2-year confiscation period. While there is an amnesty period, let's just call it what it is, a confiscation period, the firearms cannot be used anywhere as of today. Lametti said firearm owners may return the firearms to the manufacturer or export them as a part of the sale between now and 2022. These weapons were designed for one purpose, and one purpose only, he said, to kill the largest amount of people in the shortest amount of time. Really? That's the only reason? The only reason these guns were designed in the way that they were is to kill the largest amount of people in the shortest amount of time? Unbelievable. While he acknowledged that most firearm owners are law-abiding citizens, he said hunters don't need this for firepower. You don't need an AR-15 to bring down a deer, he said. Soundbite I'm sure he's had in his head for quite a while. This ban does not cover handguns, the weapon of choice for gang members. Blair promised Friday to enact legislation down the line to give municipalities the power to ban these firearms. So that's an important point, guys. This is just phase 1 of a massive sweeping gun ban. Make no mistakes about it. They're coming for all the guns. They want to completely disarm the Canadian people. If that does not signal a red flag to you, well, I don't know what to tell you. You're just completely asleep and not seeing this for what it truly is. Let's continue. The firearms ban comes less than 2 weeks after the Nova Scotia gun massacre, an incident Trudeau called the deadliest rampage in our country's history. These tragedies reverberate still. They shape our identity, they stain our conscience, they make adults out of children, And the heartbreaking truth is that they're happening more often than they once did, Trudeau said, such as mass shootings. Their families deserve more than thoughts and prayers, he said. Canadians deserve more than thoughts and prayers. Have you ever noticed Justin Trudeau has never said that he was going to pray for anyone about anything? He's not a praying man. So if you look at his tweets over the last few years, and anytime a tragedy like this happens, he always says, "Our thoughts are with you." He would never add in that he's praying, because he's not a praying man. But now he's jumping on the the bandwagon to say thoughts and prayers are moot. Just trying to jump on that bandwagon. We see here the Nova Scotia shooter used illegal firearms. Important point to note. The RCMP has confirmed that the Nova Scotia shooter used firearms obtained illegally in Canada, and from U.S. sources to carry out his crimes, he was not licensed to own firearms. So again, proof that criminals, bad guys who have bad intentions, are going to be able to get their hands on a gun. Do you think if this law was in place back then, he would have been like, oh, dang, there's a law against this. I guess I'm not going to be able to do what I wanted to do. It's just absolute insanity. Eyewitnesses have said he used a number of weapons during his attack, including some sort of a long-barreled rifle and handgun, some sort of long-barreled rifle. Oh, they're going to use that to come after all the rifles. The RCMP has described at least one of his firearms as an assault-style weapon, again in quotes. This term is yet to be defined by the government, but they're going to come after them nonetheless. Critics maintain that these sorts of bans target licensed gun owners rather than criminals. Exactly. Who often turn to the black market to procure firearms to commit crimes. Illegal firearms for U.S. sources are used 70 to 90% of all gun-related crimes. A very important stat. Conservative leader Andrew Scheer dismissed the government's ban as symbolism over substance, saying it does nothing to target smugglers or those who illegally modify firearms. We know the Liberal approach is to ask law-abiding firearm owners to follow more laws. That's lazy and ineffective, Scheer said in an interview. It's easy, but lazy. Doing this at a time when Canadians are very concerned about this pandemic is completely unacceptable. Now is not the time to make these major policy changes, especially when they've proven so ineffective. When asked if government would do more to police the border, Trudeau said other measures were in the works. Blair sidestepped the question when asked about CBC's reporting on the low number of firearms seized at the border. AR-15 and the Ruger Mini 14 are on the list. Radio Canada obtained an early draft of a list of the firearms that will be included in the 1,500 figure. Guns like the M16, the M4, the AR-10, and the AR-15 rifles will be banned. I've fired an M16, and I've also fired an AR-15. Both very cool firearms to work with. Those styles were used in the Sandy Hook, New Zealand, Las Vegas, Orlando mass shootings. There's an estimated 83,572 of them in Canada. That's how many people have just been potentially turned into criminals at the flip of a switch here, if they don't comply with the compensation period. I mean as they take the guns, confiscation period. The Ruger Mini 14 type of firearm used in the École Polytechnique shooting is also on the list. There's an estimated 16,859 of those in Canada. The M14 rifle used in the Moncton shooting is also expected to be banned. There is an estimated 5,222 of those in Canada. The department will hold a technical briefing with reports after today on the changes, which are expected to be enacted by an order in council or cabinet decree. So again, new legislation is currently being drafted to define their very own terms, assault style. And again, more Canadians are going to be turned into criminal overnight as these new measures are put into place. And just like Blair said, this is just the beginning. Handguns are next on the list. Every gun is next on the list, but it has to be done at somewhat incremental steps. Today was the big one, mind you. It's been referred to as the totalitarian tiptoe, but I would say today was a roundhouse kick to the face. It was a big leap in this move towards disarming the Canadian people, but it's just one giant step that they've taken towards an agenda to disarm all of the country. So this is unacceptable, guys. This is marching Canadians into a tyrannical, nightmarish Orwellian future where the government is tracking, tracing, databasing every single person, every single thing you do, and you are completely at the whim, disarmed, unable to defend yourself from anyone, including the government. Not looking good, guys. Not looking good. All right, says we got 450 people tuned in. Click that thumbs up button, guys. Share the video. Click the links in the description to support this channel. Subscribe to us here on YouTube if you haven't yet. And subscribe to me on all the other channels that I'm on. BitChute.com/pressfortruth, Minds.com/pressfortruth, Float.app, FLOTE.app/pressfortruth, PocketNet, DLive. There's a bunch of them, guys. I'm on a bunch of different platforms because, as I'm sure you can sense, they're really clamping down on voices like mine on this particular platform that you are on right now. It's getting worse and worse by the day, so we really need to migrate you guys over to the new platforms. I've got 260-something thousand subscribers here on YouTube. I think I'm just about to hit the 10,000 follower mark on BitChute. Guys, please help me get over 10,000 subscribers on BitChute. Hopefully we can get all 260,000 of you over there before they flip the switch on this channel and deem someone like myself as being a dangerous, illegal individual. That's what this is heading to. So, you know, we need your support now more than ever. Our voice is being incrementally silenced online. But again, with your support, that won't matter. I'm much rather be completely reliant on you, the viewer, than reliant on, you know, some sort of paycheck from Google. So really, the demonetization is a blessing in disguise. I don't want their money. They can keep it. Let's have me be beholden to you, the viewers, and that's the kind of relationship I want moving forward. All right, let's see what else we got. Can we mirror any of your videos? Ask P9 Cool Pics. Yeah, you can. Feel free to download and re-upload any of my content that you wish. I encourage you to do so. I've always put out all my stuff for free. 5 documentary films are online for free. We've always encouraged people to make copies, burn them onto DVD, hand them out to people. I mean, who watches DVDs anymore? But, you know, put them on flash drives and hand it out to people. Or just re-upload it to your own channel. I'm in the interest of getting the information out there. That's what I'm into this for. So if you want to spread the information, by all means, please do so. That's what it's all about. Big step towards fascist communism. Yeah, exactly. This is a huge step towards communism. That's why it's quite fitting that it was done on May Day, the big commie party where they celebrate Karl Marx and they protest capitalism. Yeah, pretty fitting, I would say, that Trudeau announced this on Commie Day, because this country is moving into communism. It's absolutely disgusting. Okay. Is taking away guns a form of martial law, says Trav D. In a sense, I mean, we are seeing a move towards potential all-out martial law in this country, as they have announced that 68,000 troops, I believe it is, are on the ready to help assist in the efforts of COVID-19. Well, you know, if things continue to get ugly, if civil unrest indeed comes down the pipe, and they're going to need the military to enforce quarantines and to police the lockdowns, yeah, they're not going to want people to be armed. So maybe disarming the people does have something to do with an effective martial law scenario. What else do we have here? Never let a planned crisis go to waste. Simple, says Sophie. Yeah, I think it was Rahm Emanuel who once said, never let a crisis or an opportunity go to waste. And again, this takes us back to that order out of chaos concept, where they generate the chaos in order to offer the solution, in order to provide the order, as it were. And in this case, the problem was the Nova Scotia shooting. The reaction was, oh my God, this is terrible. Please, government, do something for us to save us from things like this happening again. The solution was then put in place, which was already drafted up before the problem even occurred. But they needed the problem in order to generate that reaction, which is necessary for you to accept the solution. So it's sad to see them using a tragedy, in the wake of this tragedy, sweeping through this gun ban, through Parliament, just making it happen. It's, again, mark this day as the beginning of the end for Canada, which is probably not a bad thing for an anarchist like myself, a voluntarist like myself, but still, it's not looking good. Truth Report. Meanwhile, abortion is 100% legal. Yeah, they're okay with you killing babies, but God forbid you should arm yourself and be able to stop an armed shooter before the cops do. You know, like I said, in the case of Nova Scotia, guns were the answer, only it was coming from men in uniforms 13 hours late. Guns should have been the answer before people waited for the nanny state to come solve the problem for them. If more Canadians were armed along that guy's path of destruction, the threat could have been stopped. So we need to put guns in the hands of every law-abiding, responsible Canadian citizen. Maybe that's what we need to start a movement for, you know? Arm Canada. Hashtag let's get armed. We got 2 years, guys. 2 years to turn this around. Canada's been a commie country for quite some time now, says Talmofa. Yep, I would agree. Epstein didn't kill himself, says Nostrabez Stevens. Good one. Yep. No arguments there. Let's throw that in there. Epstein didn't kill himself. Hashtag let's get armed. Red haired. Yeah, let's get that going. Just came up with it on the spot here. Trent Dabb says this guy worked for the government in all caps. Are you shouting at everyone here in the comment section saying I'm some sort of controlled opposition paid shill troll or something? Ignore people like that, guys. I get that all the time. It's just a distraction, if that is indeed what you were suggesting. Bye, Canada. It's been nice knowing you. RIP. Yeah, exactly. Brave New World. We are under UN control, and disarming is priority. Exactly. Ian Myers says, government doesn't want strong, independent people. It wants mindless, defenseless sheep. Exactly. They don't want self-sustainable people. They don't want people who know how to grow their own food, who are able to survive on their own, you know, off the grid. Those are the enemies of the state, and even more so, the ones who are armed are the biggest enemies of the state. And today, the Trudeau government put enemies of the state in the crosshairs, in their crosshairs, and they just pulled the trigger. So it's time to fight back, guys. Plaid Z says, great idea, Dan. Every household armed with responsible gun owners. Wouldn't that make Canada a much safer place? Obviously, it would. The criminals are always going to be able to get their hands on the guns. The bad guys are resourceful. They'll be able to do it. But if we have good guys who are armed, the threats can be stopped. Again, these things happen all the time, but the mainstream media doesn't talk about those cases where guns saved lives, you know, where, you know, little old lady was getting robbed or at gunpoint or something like that, and some licensed gun owner who was carrying at the time saves the day. These things happen all the time, but you're not going to hear about it from the mainstream media. You're just going to hear about the mass shootings that are coming at the hands of these angry, violent criminals who, as I said, are going to obtain a firearm anyways. The Nova Scotia shooter did not have legal firearms. He obtained them illegally. Obviously, a new law is not going to stop somebody like that. The new law is just going to stop good, law-abiding gun owners to be able to protect their families from a guy like this. No, they want you to wait for the right guns, their guns, in the hands of the uniformed thugs. It's not right. And again, chalk up today to be the beginning of the end, the nail in the coffin. May Day, Commie Day. It's unbelievable. All right. Hello from Russia. How are you? I'm doing okay. I mean, I was better before Trudeau announced the sweeping gun ban on the Canadian people. Millions of people are going to be turned into criminals overnight. We got 2 years to turn this around. They're going to try to confiscate everyone's guns in the next 2 years. They're going to draft up legislation to take all the guns. They're going to redefine the terms. They're going to redefine our very own language and going to define assault style for us. And guess what? It's pretty much every and any gun. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's the agenda. Guys, if you're new to my channel, go to my channel and use the search feature and type in a word like gun, and you'll see I've got a number. I think last I checked was 18 videos about guns. Type in any word about a topic that you're curious about what my views are on. And you can find all my past videos. I've been doing this for 13 years on this channel, guys, here on YouTube. So I've got a lot of videos, I think over 1,500 or something like that, covering a range of topics, 5 documentary films as well. So if you want to see what I had to say about certain things that you're curious what my views are on it, it's likely a good chance I've already talked about it in a video. So just use the search feature to check me out. All right, 417 people watching. Hopefully we got at least that. Ooh, 420 now. Bling, bling, 420. Good number. Click the thumbs up button, guys. Let's get 420 thumbs up to match the number of viewers that we have here. How about we just unsubscribe from the government, says Cuba Bound. It's not like they have ever done anything good for us, ever. That's a good point. They're not looking out for the best interests of their people. I mean, oh gosh, it's really frustrating that people still think that that's the case in this current day and age. But, I mean, that goes to show you how much work we still have to do to wake the sleepy masses as to what's going on here. Josh says 613 thumbs up. Excellent. Thank you guys so much for all the thumbs up. Continue to click that like button, share this video, leave your comments. It really does help with the algorithms that, as you know, are designed to block this type of information from being seen, but they don't want you to see this. They want you to have the controlled narrative coming from the official sources that are going to tell you guns are bad, people with guns are bad. No. Guns in the hands of law-abiding Canadian citizens who are responsible is a good thing. We need more of that moving forward, guys, especially as more mass shootings are starting to become more of a thing. We need to put guns in the hands of every law-abiding, responsible Canadian citizen. As I said, maybe they would have been able to stop these threats before the guys in uniforms guns came and did it 13 and a half hours late. Oh, yeah. All right. How did he get that police car, says Brian. Well, it's believed he was purchasing old refurbished police cars and he was fixing them up. It was a hobby he had. He also collected a lot of police memorabilia, and neighbors knew that he was, had old cop cars that he had purchased. So it was kind of like a hobby of his, but right before the killing, he put on the lights and the decals, the numbers, made it look as real as possible. And it is believed that he actually used the car to pull people over and shoot them when he did so. It's crazy. But again, had some of those people been armed, they wouldn't have had to have waited for the cops, who did such a terrible, terrible job at responding to that active shooter, being 13 hours late. If those people were armed, this guy would have been stopped a long time ago, and maybe the numbers would have been 1 or 2 instead of 22. Ban police cars, says the YouTube community. Yeah, you know what? I mean, honestly, if in the last week or so I was being pulled over at nighttime by a police officer, I'd probably, not want to pull over. I said, I don't know who you are. I can't trust that that cop car is real. You saw what happened in Nova Scotia. I mean, we already knew a lot of these guys can't be trusted. See, pandemic equals global economic collapse, says Craigslist 04. Yes, please look up my videos on the pandemic. Obviously, I've been covering that at great lengths over the last couple of months, and it's crazy that they would do this in the midst of a pandemic. They're just going to whisk this through on the wake of a tragedy. It's disgusting. People should be outraged. Hey, Dan, just donated 20. That's all I got. Shared on Facebook. Thanks. Hope it helps. Thank you so much, Battle Hardened, for the donation. Really, really appreciate it. It's guys like you that are making it possible for guys like me to continue to do this work. As you know, Google stripped my ability to earn a single penny off this platform, but that's okay, because now I'm reliant on people like you. So once again, thank you so much for contributing. Even, any amount helps. So if anybody else out there wants to do the same as he did, please check the links in the description and find out how you can support this channel. Trent Dab says, I'm trying to help. Thank you so much. I mean, just clicking the thumbs up button, sharing the video helps a lot. I only say to people who are financially able to contribute to do so. If you're not, I understand. It's tough times. I mean, a lot of people are being laid off. It's tough for me. I have a lot of people unsubscribing from my monthly contributions, and donations are coming in less now because obviously we're in tough times. So I'm feeling the pinch as well. But that's why I would say only do it if you can afford to. If you can't, just share the videos, click the thumbs up button, get the word out. But if you can, it's certainly greatly appreciated, and it goes a long way. Thank you once again for that. John Pittman said, I shared and liked the post. Greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. All right. Oh, wow. We've been going for over an hour. Don't see too many other questions. Why is Dan lying and saying Hitler banned guns for the German people? He expanded gun rights for them and was great on gun rights. Stalin banned guns. Well, I think you need to re-look at your history. Obviously, as I said earlier, if those Jewish people were armed, I don't think things would have gone down the way they did, right? Robert says you are doing good, Dan. Thank you. Thank you for that. It's much appreciated. I'm not turning in my guns, says Mike Davidson. Well, yeah, you unfortunately are like millions of other Canadians who are going to be turned into criminals, wrongly so. It's absolutely just wrong. This shouldn't be happening. It's crazy that I'm even having to make this video today. I've been warning about this for a long, long time. Again, use the search feature on my channel. Look up all my past videos when it comes to gun rights. All right, guys, I think we're going to call it at that. Been going for just over an hour. Again, click the thumbs up button and share this video. Let people know that they're coming for your guns. It's on. The gloves are off. The Trudeau government has just fired the first shot. Enemies of the states are now in the crosshairs of the Canadian government, and they pulled the trigger today. There's a 2-year confiscation period. They call it amnesty, but let's call it what it is, a 2-year confiscation period where they're going to be coming around collecting your guns from your homes. And unless we put a stop to these incremental moves towards all-out tyrannical government, it's going to end in all-out dictatorships. It's going to end in all-out tyranny. It's going to end in a bad time for my fellow Canadians. So get the word out, guys. Share this video. Click the thumbs up button. I want to thank everybody again for all your support and all the love that I get from here, my YouTube audience. So thankful to be able to interact with you guys in these live streams. If you appreciate my efforts, please check the links in the description to find out how you can donate to this channel, either through PayPal or through various cryptocurrencies. You can check me out on pressfortruth.ca/donate, or you can go to my GoFundMe campaign, PFT Demonetized, on GoFundMe. Links are located in the description below as well. That's all for today, guys. Again, thank you so much for your continued support. Please continue to share this video once I end the stream, and stay tuned. I'm going to be having more video reports coming very soon, God willing. Again, this is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. Take care, everyone.